Before the stages, before the gold records, before America called him the king, there was a man with a spirit so gentle and a heart so generous that the people closest to him said, "You didn't just meet Elvis, you felt him." And in his later years, when the world thought they knew him best, Elvis Presley was changing in ways the public never saw, becoming softer, kinder, more spiritual, more reflective. Today, we remember that Elvis, the great soul behind the greatest star. This is the story of the man the world thought they knew, but few truly understood. For many fans watching this today, you may remember the early Elvis, the shy Southern boy with a "yes ma'am, no sir" way of speaking. That wasn't an act, that was who he was. Growing up in Tupelo, Mississippi, Elvis knew what it meant to have nothing. His family lived in a 2-room shotgun house, moving constantly, stretching every penny. But even then, he had something money couldn't buy: compassion. Before the stages, before the gold record, before America called him the king, there was a man with a spirit so gentle and a heart so generous that the people closest to him said, "You didn't just meet Elvis, you felt him." And in his later years, when the world thought they knew him best, Elvis Presley was changing in ways the public never saw, becoming softer, kinder, more spiritual, more reflective. Today, we remember that Elvis, the great soul behind the greatest star. This is the story of the man the world thought they knew, but few truly understood. For many fans watching this today, you may remember the early Elvis, the shy Southern boy with a "yes ma'am, no sir" way of speaking. That wasn't an act, that was who he was. Growing up in Tupelo, Mississippi, Elvis knew what it meant to have nothing. His family lived in a 2-room shotgun house. They moved constantly, chasing work, chasing survival. Elvis wore hand-me-down clothes and watched his mother stretch every penny just to keep food on the table. But even then, even as a boy with nothing, Elvis had something money couldn't buy: compassion. He never forgot where he came from. And when fame arrived like a tidal wave in 1956, when the money started pouring in, when the world was suddenly at his feet, Elvis didn't change. He just had more to give. Even at the height of fame, Elvis kept a humble heart. He tipped waitresses $100 bills just to see them smile. Not once, not twice, constantly. He bought strangers' cars because he overheard they needed one. A woman mentioned her transmission was broken. Elvis bought her a brand new Cadillac. A man admired his Lincoln Continental at a gas station. Elvis handed him the keys and said, "It's yours." He paid hospital bills for people he'd never met, gave away thousands to charities that never made the news, handed out gifts without cameras, without credit, without expectation. His friends would beg him to slow down. "Elvis, you can't give everything away." And he'd just smile and say, "What good is it if I can't share it?" People say generosity changes when fame arrives, but with Elvis, it only grew. And those of you watching, especially the ones who lived through those years, you remember, Elvis didn't just entertain. Elvis uplifted. He made people feel seen, feel valued, feel loved. But with that kindness came a weight most couldn't imagine. By the 1970s, Elvis carried the pressure of non-stop concerts, massive expectations, the responsibility of being the biggest star on earth. People cheered for him, but few understood the toll it took. Behind the jumpsuits and spotlights was a man who felt deeply, who worried, who suffered, who tried every night to give his fans more than he had. Elvis wasn't just performing, he was carrying the dreams of millions. Every ticket sold represented someone who saved their money, someone who drove hours, someone who believed Elvis Presley would give them a night they'd never forget. And he knew it. He felt the weight of every single person in that audience. So even when his body ached, even when exhaustion pulled at him, even when the schedule was relentless, Elvis walked onto that stage and gave everything. Many of you watching today remember those Vegas years, the voice, the power, the full energy he gave, the way he commanded the room, the way he made eye contact with fans in the back row and made them feel like the only person in the building. But what you may not have seen was how much he sacrificed behind the scenes just to keep giving people joy. The sleepless nights, the physical pain he pushed through, the pressure from everyone around him who depended on his success. Elvis was more than an entertainer. He was a provider, a caretaker, a man who felt responsible for everyone in his orbit. And that responsibility never left him. As Elvis grew older, something shifted. He began searching, not for fame, but for meaning. The stages, the applause, the screaming crowds. It had all been there for so long. But now, in the quiet moments, Elvis was asking deeper questions. What is this all for? What happens when it's over? What does God want from me? He read books on spirituality, faith, healing, and the afterlife. His library at Graceland was filled with texts on Christianity, mysticism, philosophy, and the soul. He underlined passages, he took notes, he talked about these ideas constantly with the people in his circle. Larry Geller, his hairstylist and spiritual advisor, spent hours with Elvis discussing the nature of existence, reincarnation, and divine purpose. Elvis would stay up all night reading, searching for answers to questions most people never even ask. He prayed before shows, alone in quiet rooms. He believed his voice was a gift, and he wanted to use it for good. Those who were with him in the last years said this often. Elvis became more soulful. He felt things deeper. He looked at life differently. He wasn't chasing hits anymore. He wasn't trying to prove anything. He wasn't just Elvis Presley, the superstar, anymore. He was Elvis Presley, the seeker, the man searching for peace in a world that demanded everything from him. And in that search, he found something beautiful. Not all the answers, but faith, hope, a quiet belief that his life had meaning beyond the spotlight. If you ask anyone who knew him, the most generous Elvis was the later Elvis. He gave more in the 1970s than any other time in his life. By then, he'd lived through fame, fortune, and everything in between. He'd seen how quickly the world could love you one day and forget you the next. But that didn't harden him. It softened him. He didn't care if he had 20 rings on his fingers. If someone admired one, he took it off and handed it to them. He gave away cars, jewelry, coats, watches, but also encouragement, comfort, late-night phone calls, quiet moments of honesty. There's a story Red West, one of his closest friends, used to tell. One night, Elvis was driving through Memphis and saw a young couple stranded on the side of the road with a broken-down car. He pulled over, asked what was wrong. The couple didn't recognize him at first. It was dark, and Elvis was just a guy in a car offering help. He listened to their story. They were newlyweds, just starting out, no money for repairs. Elvis smiled, told them to wait right there, and drove off. 20 minutes later, he came back with a mechanic and a tow truck. He paid for everything, told the mechanic to give them a full tune-up, new tires, whatever they needed. The couple finally realized who he was and started crying. Elvis just hugged them and said, "Y'all take care of each other. That's all that matters." He never forgot growing up with nothing, so he made sure everyone around him felt like they had something. This is the Elvis older fans remember with tears in their eyes, the Elvis who never kept a blessing to himself. And if you remember a moment when Elvis's generosity touched you, or someone you knew, share it in the comments below. People talk about the last years with sadness, but the truth is more complicated, more beautiful. Yes, Elvis struggled. Yes, he carried burdens. Yes, the world saw him changing and didn't always understand why. But through all of it, he remained full of heart. He adored his daughter, Lisa Marie. Anyone who saw them together could feel it. The way he lit up when she walked into a room. The way he'd cancel everything just to spend time with her. The way he wanted to be remembered not as the king, but as her daddy. He valued friendships more deeply. He apologized more. He reflected more. He talked openly about his mistakes and how he wanted to be better. Elvis was hard on himself, harder than anyone else ever was. He knew he wasn't perfect, but he never stopped trying to grow. Even when he was tired, he stepped on stage and gave everything he had. Not because he needed applause, but because he loved his fans, truly loved them. He'd look out into the audience and see the faces, the grandmother who'd been listening to him since 1956, the young couple on their first date, the veteran who came home from war and found comfort in his music. And he'd sing for them, not for himself, for them. And for many of you watching today, you remember it. Elvis never phoned in a show. He poured his soul out until the very end. Even in 1977, in his final concerts, when his body was struggling, when the critics were writing him off, Elvis was still connecting, still giving, still loving his fans with everything he had left. When people speak about Elvis today, the legend often overshadows the man. But the man was extraordinary, a gentle Southern spirit who never forgot his roots, a generous giver who believed wealth meant nothing if it wasn't shared, a seeker of truth who spent his final years searching for meaning beyond fame, a man who loved deeply, felt deeply, and cared deeply, sometimes to his own detriment. Elvis Presley didn't just leave behind music, he left behind a feeling, the same feeling that keeps millions watching him over 40 years later. It's not just nostalgia, it's connection, because Elvis made people feel like they mattered, like they were worth his time, like their joy was his joy. And as your memories, your love, and your loyalty show, Elvis didn't just live in his time, he lives in yours. He lives in the grandmother who still plays Can't Help Falling in Love on her anniversary.